Episode 189 of the Love in Lebanon podcast features a pair of young Lebanon firefighters who have a special connection. Katie Pallikan and Kurt Keller went through the academy together and have been friends ever since. Now they share the pride of being on the Lebanon Fire Department. The pair shares what makes LFD so special, even after a couple embarrassing moments during training, those that they're willing to share anyway. Episode 189 of the Love in Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveandlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast. I'm Joe LePage. I am the City of Lebanon Communications and Community Development Director. Here joining us on this episode of the podcast, we've got Katie Pallikan and we've got also Kurt Keller. They are firefighters with the Lebanon Fire Department. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Joe. We're happy to be here.
And truth be told, everybody, this is how it all played out. So in the office here at 401 South Meridian, Fire Chief Chuck Batts walks in and says, hey, I got an idea for a podcast. And I got a couple firefighters that are great. They'd be awesome on the mic. They're hilarious. They're awesome. He gave so many great attributes about a couple firefighters and then mentioned you guys. How do you feel about that? How did that all play out for you guys? How you got roped into doing this courtesy of Chuck Batts?
Well, so I was doing chores around the fire station, outside of the fire station, and Chief Batts had pulled into the driveway and he said, "You're the person that I'm looking for." And
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, what did I do now? And he goes, how would you feel about being on a podcast for Love in Lebanon, just talking about like day-to-day firefighting stuff and just about the job and how you got on and what you do? I said, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. Like, I would love to. I think that's a really great opportunity. And he was like, also, will you find another firefighter to join you on the podcast, somebody that you have good banter with, and that you think would be a good fit for the podcast.
And the guy to your right came to mind?
Yes, immediately. Kurt Keller came into my mind. He's perfect for this. And I told Chief Batts that immediately, and he was like, I think he would be a great fit as well.
Kurt, what do you think about that? What, as you're getting roped in, she got roped in and you got the secondary roping.
So I wasn't too keen on actually joining in at first, and then I realized, you know what, this ought to be pretty fun. And Katie and I have a good banter on shift, and I thought it was great when she reached out and asked me to do it.
And what's it like for you guys? What makes it the relationship good with the banter? Because Kurt, you've been at this for a while, a little bit less than a decade. Katie, you're relatively new to LFD and just getting ready to celebrate first year in, that type of thing, just over maybe?
Yeah, I'm a year and a half in now.
Okay, year and a half in.
Kurt has experience. He's gotten into this since 2013, right?
Yeah, and I actually got hired with Katie at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, we got hired at Lebanon together, went through the academy a little bit together, and that's kind of how our rapport started. And yeah, he was very helpful throughout the academy with me and all the other guys that we got hired with. He was a good comic relief at times, really. And then once we all got on shift together, Kurt and I are on the same shift together. He was really helpful to me, and just the dynamic that we have on shift is pretty funny. We kind of go at it back and forth a lot. We chirp at each other, and the guys on shift just think Kurt's digs and banter is hilarious. So, and it's really easy to get Kurt going. So,
we'll see if we can get him going here on the podcast.
That's what I'm hoping. I mean, he has matured a lot. He's matured a lot, so he might keep his mouth shut for today.
For sure.
He might be good today.
Or maybe not. Maybe he'll let some of the old Kurt out. Now, the dry sense of humor I can totally pick up on before we start hitting record, everybody. So we may get Kurt to come out and do that a little bit with the personality. But echoing, I'm guessing what Katie was saying, you guys kind of bonded over the whole kind of initiation type phase, the early phase of LFD?
Yeah, we've always had a strong relationship. But then once we actually got on shift, it was... being two new firefighters, we actually kind of used each other as the backbones of each other. And I think that's why we bonded so well. But, being new, you kind of have to rely on newer people that you got hired with to kind of so much, I would say, for things that you struggle with or training, just stuff like that.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing that helps with the kind of break the monotony of having to go through a normal day, whether you are fighting a fire and doing all those things, going through trainings, or just kind of somewhere in between. I'm guessing that kind of personal relationship, that camaraderie, kind of helps break that monotony. And
it's nice to kind of talk about things as a new person with another newer person.
Gotcha.
You go through a lot of the same situations together, or have some of the same issues, or maybe you're overthinking something and you just need to have somebody as a sounding board, and maybe you feel more comfortable with a newer person that you've known for a little bit longer. So it's been good to have Kurt kind of by my side hanging out with me, and just being there and being a part of my support system for sure.
Absolutely. What's been your favorite part, Kurt, about LFD and kind of that whole kind of getting in with the department and getting acclimated and being able to serve the Lebanon community?
So I would say my favorite part is I've lived here my entire life, and I feel that, I wanted to give back to my community and that I've grown up in and went to school and bought a house. But I've pretty much known a lot of people in the department, and that's what's been great to see the support that I've had going through the process and actually getting through the academy. That's what really warms my heart, that, we have people in the department that want the best for everyone on there. And I would say that, we've got a very great department that's aggressive and always wants to do better and continue to strive to the next level.
Along the same lines, Katie, is that kind of the way you're feeling as well?
Yeah, so I got into the fire service pretty young. I got hired at Lebanon when I was 21, and so before that I got to be an EMT at Community North in the ER and at Decatur Township Fire Department as a civilian EMT before I got hired on here. And in the meantime, I also went and got my firefighter 1 and 2 certifications. That way I was prepared for academy and just for the job within itself. And while I was applying to different places, my brothers, they were like, hey, Lebanon Fire Department's hiring. You should apply everywhere, and you should apply to them. And I was like, okay. And so I applied, and pretty much everything that I was hearing about Lebanon came from my brothers because they both work at Whitestown Fire Department. So they both have gotten to get to know the guys as well and get to know the department and all the chiefs, and everything that they had to say was so positive about the department. They said that all the crews, they have a strong sense of firemanship and they love to train. And my brother said that they felt like I could be the best possible firefighter that I could be if I was at Lebanon Fire Department. So everything went well when I applied and they hired me, and I made it through the academy. And since I've been there, I definitely feel like I wouldn't be as good of a firefighter if I was somewhere else.
Gotcha. And everybody, you can see more of Katie's story. She's done a little bit of the video side with us, and we've done a video with her, and you can see it on the city's YouTube channel, and you can also see it on social media, the fire department's social media as well. What is it about LFD, though? Because it seems like whenever there's a hiring effort, there's an abundance of people that are applying for that job. Is it one of those things where it's a special department that the people want to be involved with and join up with? Because if we can be honest, I mean, the salary isn't the highest in the state, but I think the level of service and top-down leadership, I think, is second to none.
Patient care is huge, and I feel that we have a great department that actually wants to be the best, but also people come to our department because of all the great characteristics that come with it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
We're talking with Kurt Keller and Katie Pallikan, both firefighters with the Lebanon Fire Department, here on this episode
of the Love and Lebanon podcast. And before we hit record, everybody, I was talking to both Kurt and Katie about one of the things that I appreciate most about the Lebanon Fire Department, and that was, we kind of joked about earlier with Chief coming in and kind of
telling you guys to do the podcast, but he always follows up the firefighter's name with positive attributes. It seems like each one of you is more than a firefighter. They are a person with great adjectives that help describe you and different things like that. Do you feel like it's kind of that way? Speaking back to the camaraderie piece, where it's more, I'm more than just a firefighter. I'm Katie, and I'm a person
Right.
who fights these fires and does these things.
People know when they're applying to us, they're applying to a strong sense of camaraderie, like you said, kind of more of that family feel than as opposed if you were to go to a bigger fire department, you kind of feel or are seen more or less as a number or, just a firefighter. You don't really get that family feel. So it's really nice here at Lebanon Fire Department. We all have good rapport with our chiefs, our captains and our lieutenants, our battalion chiefs as well. It really does feel like a big family, and I do feel really lucky to get to go and spend a third of my time at Lebanon Fire Department with these guys that I get to call a second family. And so I think that's why we have such a competitive hiring process whenever we do have one, is because they know just how great the environment and the atmosphere is at Lebanon Fire Department. And to me, that means a lot more to me than going and getting better pay somewhere else or having better benefits somewhere else. I would rather really love the place that I work with, the people that I work with, than go make six figures somewhere else. So that's what's really big for me, honestly.
And you love it at LFD.
Yes, correct.
Kurt, same way?
Yeah, I would say one thing that sets us aside, I wouldn't say from other departments, but when you're talking about chiefs and your administration, one thing that sets us aside is that if we needed to go in and talk to one of the chiefs about just life in general, it's an open door policy. And, even if we're back eating lunch or whatever the case may be, training, working out, most of the time they're involved in, they want to be involved in everyday shift life. And that really sets us aside because it makes you feel confident knowing that you have people that stand behind you and they support you in whatever decision you make, and they want the best out of you.
And you mentioned some of the things that you're doing, your training, and that type of thing. Do you ever find it difficult to break some of the misconceptions that come with looking at the fire service, where you guys are sitting and waiting for that alarm to go off? You're kind of reclining, you're eating potato chips until the call comes in, and then it's, oh, wait, we got to go to work, that type of thing. If you can kind of, guys, take us behind the scenes a little bit. What goes into what you guys do, whether it be training on a daily basis or semi-regular basis, and being able to get in the weight room, the gym, the cardio stuff, all those things that go with it. It's not just a recliner based waiting on something bad to happen.
Right.
So I would say, on a weekly basis, we're going to training early in the morning, getting out and doing whatever's on the schedule for that day. If it's, search and rescue, if it's fire attack, if it's, ropes rescue, it's extrication, water rescue. We're getting out there in the morning, getting it done most of the time. And then once that's done, we're eating lunch, and then you're free to go and work out as long as the rest of the chores are done. And then by 3-4 o'clock, you're free to do whatever you want. And I think that's huge, getting in and getting everything done early and achieving the goal that you want to do to be a better firefighter is huge. A lot of departments aren't actually getting aggressive and going out and doing that every week. And that's something that is huge for our department.
Yeah. And a lot of the skills that firefighters have to be good at and have to know, it's really easy to lose those skills if you don't get that hands-on training. So I feel like that is why we train so much, so frequently, and so at such an intense way, I guess.
Everything we do is a perishable skill. If you're not continuing to do it, once a month, you're going to lose it. And I think that's huge because, we may not train on something all the time, and you go back to it a month later or 2 months later, and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not really that you don't know what you're doing. You've got to have that muscle memory to remember how to do it. At 3 o'clock in the morning when the tones go off for a house fire, you better know what you're doing.
Yeah. You have to be proficient in all these skills, and it's important just to keep up on that training, get those hands-on skills. And I think Lebanon Fire Department is really good about that.
How do you keep that mindset? Because you think, well, I mean, the odds of us getting an actual house fire call are probably slim. So let's make this more of a lighthearted thing. But I mean, every time I've been out at the H box and doing all those things, the flashover chamber, it's important. It's still like a life or death deal. What does it take within you guys to be able to not see it as some kind of recess game, but more importantly, knowing that the dummies that you're dragging out of one of the boxes during a training exercise could be an actual person, and not just a weighted dummy that you're dragging out for a training opportunity.
I have to get a little personal with it for myself. Like, I have to think of my family members. That way I can go 100%. Because, if for some reason there is a house fire and we do have to go in and do our search and rescue and put the fire out and all that, that is somebody's grandma, father, brother, sister, mother. So I do make it a little bit personal for myself, so that way I know I'm giving everything I can to get that dummy out or get that person out, whatever the case may be.
Similar kind of, you got to have to personalize it.
I would say make it personal. One thing that sets aside for me is that working out and always trying to be physically fit for the job. That's huge. I feel that if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be able to perform your job at whatever time the tones drop. And a misconception is that, firefighters just sit in the recliner and do nothing. But we actually get out and do things and make ourselves better people in the service.
And it sounds like, it's some of the things that you guys are being asked to do are more physical, and you have to be physically fit and things like that. Others may stretch you a little bit more mentally. Before we hit record, Katie, you were talking about how you were speaking recently at Thornton Elementary. And if you look at the fire department's Facebook page especially, but a lot of different kind of fire awareness, public speaking opportunities that the department does in total out of the different elementaries or most recently. And how important is that for you guys to be able to be stretched in that way to do some of the public speaking and being able to get out in front of people and kind of talk about what you do and kind of not necessarily take a break from the training, but also be stretched in that way as well?
Yeah, I think it's really important, obviously, getting to spread the amount of knowledge and experience that we have as firefighters to the public, especially for little kids too. Like, some of them may not know, some of them may just, not realize the importance of it. And we want to do our best to protect the community as best that we can. And I think that we're a part of something bigger than just ourselves. And I feel like that's why a lot of us got into the fire service, is because we wanted to be a part of something bigger. And so, it's not all about me, or whatever. We're in this to protect the community, keep everybody safe as best that we can. And if for some reason we are called or they do need us, we want to be there to help them and to support them, maybe on the worst day of their life, whatever the case may be. But that's why we got in this, is to protect and to inform and just to take care of the community.
Being a female, being able to do fire service at a high level, does that make you kind of popular when it comes time to go into some of those? You're talking about how some little girls from Thornton Elementary and maybe some moms as well wanted to know more about the whole process and being a female in the firefighting field.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity earlier this week to go talk to Thornton Elementary, the Girl Scouts there. I got invited, and there was women in all different types of fields. So there was me there representing the fire service. There was a woman representing Lebanon Police Department. There was an RN that came from Witham Hospital, just explaining kind of like what we do, things to look out for, how to be safe. And while I was there giving my spiel, I actually had some of the moms come up to me and ask me a lot of questions. And they were like, so for the physical tests for women in the fire service, do they change it to make it easier? I said, no, like it's 100% the same. Like I have to do the same things that these guys do. I told them that there's less than 10% of women in the fire service right now, but we're expected to do 100% of the job no matter what. And they were all pretty shocked by it. And They asked me questions like, how heavy is your gear? And just like all these technical things that I don't really think about anymore. And it was cool getting to tell them like, oh yeah, this is how much this weighs, or this is kind of like what I've done or how I've gotten here. And even the moms were very intrigued and interested with how it works, how the process looks.
And Kurt, do you get those wide-eyed questions from those little kids, or having 3 youngins of my own, being able to kind of see their reactions to the red fire engine coming through town and that type of thing? Have you gotten some of those wide-eyed stares, oh man, this is a rock star coming into my school, and getting some of the maybe silly questions also?
I would say yes. The community involvement is very important, just to get our name out there and actually show people what we have on the trucks and what we do on a day-to-day basis. But, showing kids that we're not scary people, showing them what we wear and what we wear inside of a fire to make them not scared if we're coming for them possibly. And it's something that, a lot of kids are probably scared of us, and some people think we're policemen, and we're not. But, just getting out there and showing them the tools we have and making sure that they know exactly who we are when it comes time not to be scared of us. And just even on EMS runs, I think it's huge to have that engagement with young kids, because, one of their family members may be hurt or whatever the case may be. And I think that's huge.
And having that first reaction to call for help and not maybe run from it, that type of thing.
Yeah. And if these kids are calling us for whatever reason, they're already going to be scared. So we just want to show them, hey, we're not scary. We're your friend. We're here to help you, even though we look like a monster trying to get you, but we're there to help you. And so that's our big point that we make to them of like, it's still me. I'm still your friend. And the kids, they love it. And that brings me a lot of like joy and fulfillment, and puts another sense of passion and love in me for the job that we get to do every third day.
Mm-hmm. Kurt, similar for you? Is that kind of the same?
Yes,
the same
I would
motivation?
Say it's very similar.
Yeah. And then we kind of talked before we hit record about sharing how much you guys love being in front of the microphone and different things that have happened. Some things that maybe we didn't know. I heard something about being thrown down, falling down the stairs. I know there's a story that Kurt may share or may not. I've got one ready to rock and roll to share as well.
So it's the job is not a pretty job like they make it in the movies, of course. And
it's not backdraft.
No, it's not backdraft. It's a little different. But it's still a very cool job. But yeah, it's pretty chaotic inside of a house fire, or when we're training and we're simulating a house fire. It can be pretty chaotic on the inside. And obviously a lot of people don't get to see that. And yeah, there was this one time in my fire academy, and I was on the nozzle, and it was simulating a basement fire. We were supposed to go down some stairs and put the fire out, right? Sounds pretty easy. Yeah. So I'm on the nozzle, and actually one of the guys that I got hired on with, he was on my crew with me, and he was behind me giving me a bunch of the fire hose, and he had accidentally given me too much. And yeah, I fell down the stairs. I did a front flip down the stairs with the nozzle, and I got stuck on my back like a turtle. And it was so embarrassing. All the training chiefs saw it and heard about it. But luckily I was okay. I was able to get myself back up, and I put the fire out. But yeah, it was really embarrassing. But yeah, on the inside of these house fires and trainings that we do, yeah, it's pretty chaotic, but it's fun chaos for me personally. I love it. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping Kurt will share some of his good stories.
Is too. I kind of hoping he is too.
He's got good ones.
Knowing it's a safe space, that you've heard Katie's story, you'll hear mine if you guys want to hear it also. You okay sharing yours that you had us rolling with before we started hit record?
Which one do you like?
I mean, I love both personally.
You have two?
He's got two.
I've got multiples.
I think
buddy.
the more, I guess, shocking of the two is when Kurt did a front flip off of a ladder. That was pretty fun and scary.
Because that trumps the other one, which was trying to spit out a minute straight worth of promo stuff, which is
That was hilarious.
Yikes.
Yeah, so we were on a training one day, and we were doing what we call bailouts in case of the conditions inside of a fire go bad, and you have to get out very quickly out of a window or a door, something of that nature. And so we were on the second floor of the training tower, and we were doing bailouts, and there's a technique where you can put your arm on one rung and the other arm a couple rungs down, and we were flipping. Well, somebody else decided to say, hey, there's a technique called Superman. So I decided to try it, and you grab the rails on the ladder and you slide all the way down. Well, I did that and didn't have my legs on the rungs like I should have, and I did a whole 180 and got my head stuck in between two rungs, and everyone says, hey, Kurt, are you all right? And I sat there for a minute, didn't say a word.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
And everybody was like, oh, he just broke his neck.
Yeah.
And so
Funny story, Kurt. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, hilarious.
Please continue to the funny part.
So anyway, they got me down, and they're like, man, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. They're like, you weren't talking to us. And I said,
Yeah, that's
well, I was
stressed
trying to get my thoughts together on what really happened. And so about 5 minutes in, everybody's like, are you good? Are you good? And finally, one of the lieutenants goes, Kurt's all right. Leave him alone.
It was scary in the moment, and it kind of happened like slow motion. I was just standing there like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? And yeah, he was like dead silent. And so I was like, oh my God, like what happened? And yeah, there was Kurt, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
And it was like a shock of what just happened, and then making sure that everything's still attached and you're good to
And
go.
making sure I wasn't hurt.
Yes.
Were you able to do the Superman again another day? Have you tried it
I
since?
have not tried it since.
But yeah, we make mistakes during training, but that's why we do it,
Yeah,
to get
heck
those mistakes out of the way and kind of figure out what works for us, what doesn't. So what doesn't work for Kurt is doing the Superman style down a ladder if you're going to bail out of a window like that. So.
And it's just like, general life. If you do something wrong or mess something up, somebody's always going to remember that, and they're going to throw it in your face.
You
And that's
betcha.
part of the fire service is, that banter between the people. And that's what makes every day great in the fire service and our department.
You definitely have to be able to take a joke, have a little bit of thick skin. And Kurt is really good at taking jokes. So.
Yeah,
He gets
I've gotten him for a very long time.
Very long time. Unfortunately, he is an easy target.
I am a very
Sorry,
easy
bud.
target.
What makes you an easy target?
I don't know.
Yes,
I
you
get
do.
I get easily riled up.
He does get, I've told you, yeah, he gets really riled up. So it's easy to kind of just pick at him a little, and then, yeah, he does the rest of the work for you.
Okay, gotcha.
Sometimes I get myself in trouble.
He
Right.
does.
But in a good way. But when you fell down the stairs, I'm guessing it was something that could be lighthearted, but then it's time to lock in. With
Yes.
the Superman thing, it was, is he okay? Maybe laugh it off a little bit, but then you lock back in. Is that kind of how that went with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say so.
Well, dude, I thought you were going to share your public speaking story because that had me going. And
He's really good at that. He's really good at public speaking.
And it reminded me of my first TV job. You guys ever seen the movie Airplane? Airplane, maybe a little bit too old for you guys.
I was born in 2001.
Shut up.
Joe, I'm
Shut
sorry.
up. But there's a movie called Airplane, and it's very funny. And there's a character, and everybody, if you're older, if you're 40 plus like me and not 10 years old like Pallikan over here, there's a movie called Airplane, and I was a nervous sweater. Perspiring on a TV news desk with several thousand follicles ago. But got called Striker in my first job, Great Falls, Montana. Fun fact there, everybody. So you can look up Striker right now on the movie Airplane.
Okay.
That's what it was. Nervousness. The makeup was kind of running as you're in the first TV job up in Market 198 or whatever it was up in the Big Sky country. But there's that. So when I thought you were going to share your other story that Katie was sharing.
Well, since Joe threw me under the bus.
No. You can bail. You shared your Superman story, and I won't call you Superman at all. And I have mad respect that you could share that other one as well. But
You want me to tell it?
Yeah, you need to tell
Okay.
the public speaking one for sure.
coaxed him enough, everybody.
So I in the academy, had a product called Element, and it's for electrolytes. And I wanted to help the department out to stay hydrated on the job and making sure that you feel good.
Like a liquid IV, keep it hydrated, no dehydration.
Right.
Yes.
Sure.
And something that you have to remember that it's important to stay hydrated in our job because, it's hot in fires. And so I actually reached out to a company that was called Element, and I wanted to get a wholesale discount.
Look on Katie's faces.
I'm
oh
sorry,
man,
it's
oh
just
man.
so
Just
good.
don't look to your left. Just keep
Sorry.
going. Yeah, it's good.
And
Good.
so I reached out to them, and I signed up, and you had to have a business, a non-for-profit business, for a tax ID. And so I got a hold of one of the gentlemen that's on our department, and we figured all that out, and we submitted it. And the next step to get accepted was you had to submit a 1-minute video on why you weren't going to sell this and what you liked about it and the reason you were getting it for whatever entity you were getting it for. And so I had Katie record it, and she decided to record it in our training room. And I won't lie, it took about 3 or 4 times before I finally got it right, and it still sucked. And so
It was still not great.
so she is laughing in the background.
I had to
and
keep the camera
You're holding
still.
the camera and oh no.
I
So
was
it's like
crying.
okay.
Yeah, I was crying behind the camera.
Yeah, so I can't keep my composure, and so I finally said, I think we're done. Well, so she's on my phone recording this since I had to submit it, on my phone. Well, with the great banter that we have, she decides to take my phone and send it to herself as a text message, and next thing I know, the whole department has now seen Kurt's video of the recording.
So you thought it was going to be just on your phone, just between you guys, on your phone, and Katie Hux. And
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
okay, great.
And now there's a running joke because
Yeah, what's
in
your
that
favorite flavor?
in that video, I had to say what my favorite flavor is, and it's raspberry from their company. And,
He did not have to. He just threw it in there just randomly. It was
but to
great.
add at one point, Katie did write a bullet points.
I was holding a script as well too, on like a
with-
whiteboard. Yeah,
okay,
I was holding
okay,
both.
okay.
I'm
Trying
not a
not
good
to
public
Camera in
die.
one
speaker.
hand, whiteboard in the other.
Yes.
Recipe for success. Okay.
It was terrible.
Kurt's a really good representation of our department.
I'm
I
the
think.
face of Lebanon Fire. Remember
There
that?
we go.
Yeah, he is.
There we
Yes, he
go.
is.
So you guys will be ready for PIO training here anytime?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Kurt,
oh, yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Kurt Keller,
Okay.
PIO. That has a good ring to
Maybe
it.
we should attach that video. If you don't mind, send it to me, Katie. I'll put it with.
Okay, I absolutely will.
No, I wouldn't do that to you, Kurt. It's cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here on the podcast. Appreciate it. Thank you for what you guys do, and willing to kind of let us behind the scenes as well within the department. Hope it wasn't too painful being
No,
voluntold
this-
by Chief Batts and
No.
all that stuff.
No, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And you can come back and shoot infomercial anytime. We can kind of talk about that as well.
fine.
I may even have a picture of the striker pick that I can show you also if you don't.
And maybe we can get some more funny stories out of you next time.
Yeah,
Maybe this is the first of a series of
First
podcasts.
of a series.
never know.
Kurt, you got a series.
Oh, well, it could be the K&K show, just FYI. Yeah. Just throwing
It
it out
goes
there.
together.
Oh, I'll just let
Goes
that
together.
Thanks, everybody, for putting up with us and for listening to this episode of the Love and Lebanon podcast. We'll have more episodes coming your way soon. Take care.